Episode 9. If this was Star Wars, it'd probably be the last one, but it's not. There's a couple more to come after this one. 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix. I've already done this one, but we're going to do it again without the bullshit and as quickly as possible. Without the bullshit of Crofty and Brundle's lies, and showing you what Masi did, because that's the important thing. This is focused on what Michael Masi, as race director, knew, and what all the other people, which would be at least 9 other people in race control, all party to. This wasn't one single man making a decision on his own. This was surrounded in a room with a group of people, all complicit with the corrupt decision. So, what did he do in 2020 at the Sakhir Grand Prix, which demonstrates his knowledge? What took place was, I believe it was Jack Aitken, now in the pits, had a crash, lost his front wing, and it was on track around turn 11, so they decided to deploy the safety car to clear the track in that area. This race was the race where Lewis Hamilton had COVID. And so George Russell substituted in for him from the Williams, so was driving for Mercedes this race. The race leader is Russell, and he is here. It says Gaz, but that's actually Russell because Russell's in the process of his side by side with Gasly, hence it's showing that. Let's have a look at data view to see what's going on.
It is a VS.
So what we have then is, and I'll play it through on data view for a while, just because we need to see just how far back Aitken's going to be when he emerges from the pits. We know that Norris has been lapped at this stage. Okay, so Norris is in 11th, has been lapped. So let's have a play forward of what's going on. Initially, virtual safety car. All right. So Gasly has just flagged up as being lapped. So Russell did pass Gasly in that incident. Fit. What does that mean? Fit. Who's that? Fittipaldi. All right. Another son of a former racing driver. What was I saying in a previous video about if Daddy is a former racing driver, or if Daddy is a billionaire, then we get an opportunity to become a Formula 1 racer ourselves. Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid growing up, I always used to like Nigel Mansell, but my surname's not Mansell, so there was never really any chance of me becoming a Formula 1 driver. That's the way things go. I accepted that from an early age. This is the reality that some of us live. Anyway, so what do we have? Aitken is 2 laps behind now as well. So when he had his nose cone changed, he's dropped a further lap back. So we'll see what actually unfolds as Masi deals with this incident. As we've said before, drivers that are 2 laps down don't necessarily get both laps back. Okay, Russell has pitted, Bottas has pitted under the safety car, and what's happened is Fittipaldi and Aitken have, or certainly Fittipaldi appeared to there, and Aitken showed briefly they've got the lap back. So I'm going to just chop that back a bit, and we'll go to track review and we'll see what actually goes on. Anyway, let's have a look. So Bottas and the 2 Mercedes are in the pits. The car's Fittipaldi is the grey dot here. Okay, he's going over the start-finish line. Does he get past the pit exit before the Mercedes get on track? If so, he has unlapped one of them to 2 lap situations. Okay, Russell emerges before Aitken. So in effect, Aitken is still 2 laps down. The rest of them are a lap down. So let's see how this plays out. Bottas is losing a lot of track position as he's in the pits. Albon's pitted. Vettel is in 12th and Russell's behind him. Where exactly the safety car is at this stage, sometimes you can work that out from the movement of the cars. The cars that are travelling slower seem to be the ones that are held by the safety car, and the rest. So it looks like perhaps initially Vettel was held back by the safety car and maybe had just been allowed to pass by. Don't know. Like I say, I'm not switching to the normal view of the track during these videos because I don't want F1 TV to come along and block these at a later stage. So the field is bunching, as you can see, and Russell has gone in the pits again. This is where Mercedes screwed up badly, okay, because when Russell went the first time into the pits, there was a mix-up between the tyres they put on Russell. I think they put some of Bottas's tyres on Russell or something like that. So he then had to pit again and comes out of the race, out of the pits behind Bottas. So what does this mean? Perez is the race leader now. In effect, Aitken, who was 2 laps down on the leaders, is now not, because he's now ahead of Perez. So he's not that lap down. Although Giovinazzi is pretty much a lap ahead of Aitken. As I say, this one's a bit of a tricky one to get your head around. In effect, what we need, well, Vettel's in the pits at the moment as well. So what seems to have happened is the speed that Aitken's going off and Giovinazzi's going off seems as though they've been released by the safety car. Okay. Now we'll see exactly what actually takes place here. Where's Vettel's car? That's it. Vettel's emerged from the pit, so he's okay to catch the back of the pack. So what they've done, they've released the cars in between the safety car and the race leader, who's now Perez, and they've sent them off. All right. Now the car in front of Giovinazzi was Vettel. Aitken is still a lap down even now because he was the best part of 2 laps down. So even when he gets around to the back of the pack, he'll still be in effect a lap down. Mixed in there with the pack. And when Giovinazzi gets on the back of Vettel, he'll still be a lap down. So in effect, they'll need to be released again. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Right, let's chunk this forward a little bit. Just to speed things through. Right, now we see Kevin Magnussen released by the looks of things. Where is Magnussen? Magnussen is in 14th position. What we see is who's coming through now? Is that Raikkonen? So what I can only assume is actually with Giovinazzi, prior to his release, he'd been lapped by the leaders of Russell and Bottas. But when those two pitted, Giovinazzi became unlapped, but he was still behind the safety car, so that's when he was released. So when it came to then releasing the lapped cars, then it would be, and likewise with Vettel must have become unlapped at that point of the Mercedes pitting. So it would look to be that they're now in the correct running order. Raikkonen's been released, which means Fittipaldi and Aitken are still 1 lap down. So are we seeing that grey dot of Fittipaldi moving through the field? Yes, we are. are we seeing the blue dot of Aitken moving through the field? It appears that we are. So, when is Aitken going to pass he's fast coming down that straight into turn 10. And does Aitken get past the leader and the safety car by the end of this lap? It appears that he does. So this then becomes the mandatory safety car lap. And let's see at which point the race resumes. It should be able to resume at the end of this lap. Does the race director give Aitken the chance to make it all the way around to catch the back of the pack? Now, based on the fact that he was 2 laps down at the point that when he knocked his own nose cone off and became 2 laps down, he's now on the same lead lap as, or will be on the same lead lap as the remaining competitors. So already he's had a huge benefit and been able to catch the field significantly. Every other competitor has been afforded the same restart conditions, nose to tail, with equivalent gaps in between them. So is this race going to resume at this point? Now let me turn the volume up and we'll have a listen. We'll see.
Pace on those particular tyres. They need to get Russell straight past him because they can still win this.
Right.
But so can the Racing Point. Oh, brilliant.
Esteban Ocon hasn't been as high as second since 2017 when he was racing for Force India, who are now...
Well, that doesn't sound like they're talking about the race restarting, does it?
Racing Points, and who next year are going to be Aston Martin. And his career best finish of 5th that he got in Spa this season, well, now he's in a podium position. Behind that, look how...
So what's Michael Masi doing? What is FIA Race Control doing? They'd already given the advantage back to Aitken anyway, in as much that from being in a position where he became 2 laps down, he's now on the same lap as the rest of the vehicles. The rest of the cars were all pretty much nose to tail, ready to resume the race. They didn't resume the race. Was he out of the way of the leaders? Well, yes, he was. So why didn't they resume the race?
How Valtteri Bottas weaving to get the temperature into his tyres. Russell staying quite calm after an accident that was caused by the
system to warm their fronts up, but...
Ladies and gentlemen, the man who is leaving Racing Point at the end of this season, who's in 10th at the moment, and there will be many comparisons on that side of the Mercedes. All wrong, that might cost Lance Stroll.
So what do we see? Now we're going to see him start racing. And this is the resumption conditions. All on the lead lap. All nose to tail in the correct race order. And if you look at data view,
But I tell you what, George...
Look at the gaps. Half a second between, there's 1 second there, but pretty much half a second between each competitor. Aitken currently shown at that, but he was catching the back of the pack and actually closing up on Fittipaldi pretty rapidly as the rest of the field was starting to race. So this is another situation where Masi has kept that safety car lapping for an additional lap over and above the mandatory lap. Racing has resumed with all of them competitors afforded the same sporting chance. In this one and the 8 previous ones, every race resumption has had due consideration to all competitors in that race and ensured that none of them competitors were left negatively impacted by the deployment of the safety car. That is what it is. They're the facts. There will be people that will seek to argue an alternative explanation to what I'm presenting. they will seek to argue that. No doubt when this goes to court, Formula One will get a legal team to try and argue differently. It is what it is. The facts are what they are. You can try and present what I'm saying to not be what I'm saying. You're wrong. It's as simple as that. You're wrong if you try and argue anything else. It is there for that purpose, and that purpose entirely. Martin Brundle lies to you. Crofty, less so about this, although Crofty is lying about many aspects of what took place in Abu Dhabi. Brundle constantly lies about it. No F1 journalist, F1 YouTuber ever exposes this. Why? Ask the question why. Because they all parrot the narrative. They're all earning an income off of the sport. They all want to just keep in with the sport and protect themselves. It's corruption. It's systematic corruption. It wasn't just Michael Masi. Episode 10 next. That one's going to be Azerbaijan 2021. We'll have a look at that one.